Ciao Laziali all over the world, welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. I'm Vittorio Campanile and with me as usual Alasdair McKenzie here to do a quick recap about Lazio performance last Sunday. A very bizarre, I would say, defeat against Bologna at home. I don't know, Alasdair, I was thinking that probably the first half was one of the best this season, if not the best from Lazio, right? Incredible start. Isaksen scoring, Ciro Immobile goal disallowed. Ciro had another couple of chances. I don't remember which defender saved it on the line, and then you conceded incredible, unbelievable goal to Bologna, and the game changes in the second half, right?
Yeah, might as well end the podcast here. You've pretty much said it all. Although I'm amazed, to be honest, in your opening introduction there, I've not heard you say the word referee once or Maresca once. I mean, Vittorio, I thought today was going to be one of the days where we're going to have to set a segment aside for one of the famous Campanile anti-referee rants. You're not coming straight in with that today?
Well, I wanted before talking about the game, and then we have to. I mean, if you want, we can start immediately. I thought the referee wasn't. I don't know. I think if he doesn't quit tonight his job, then there's something behind that. I watched time and time again the foul from Fabian on Ciro Immobile, and he's even close. It's not that he was, far away from the action. He was right there, and he doesn't give the free kick. He doesn't give the yellow card. It's far beyond embarrassing, and it's not the only mistake Maresca makes. And as always, I say Italian referees are bad, but if you make mistakes only for one team, then I cannot believe it's just because you're bad. There's something more. I did a little bit of research, and he's the referee of I think Napoli-Lazio, where he disallowed the two goals, and the one of Guendouzi is embarrassing. I think he's the referee in the Juventus-Lazio, where Juventus score and the ball looks out, but he conceded the goal to Juventus, even if it's doubtful. So he has something going on with Lazio, that's for sure.
This is the latest conspiracy theory unearthing here. Yeah, I mean, look, I think that there is a consistent problem with this in my mind, though, which is that there's such a thing about referees in Italy, especially I think in Italy, that all it really seems to take is, I would say, 2, maybe 3 bad decisions for the entire crowd to turn against the ref and get really frustrated about it. And then as soon as that happens, that rubs off on the players and they start getting too frustrated about it. And I don't think it really helps anyone, to be honest. I mean, look, I think that there is definitely a cause to be unhappy with some of the decisions yesterday. I'm not saying he got everything right, but I do ultimately always come back to the same thing, which is I just don't think the reason that Lazio lost the game yesterday is to do with the referee. Could he have done things to help Lazio win that game, or should he have done better? Yeah, maybe. But look, the way they played in that first half, as you said right at the start, was fantastic. To be honest, it's one of the reasons I'm not that downtrodden today about it. There are games where we've actually picked up a point where I've felt worse than I do about that defeat, because at least we actually saw Lazio producing something and, creating good chances against a good team. But my God, I mean, we're saying before the Bayern game, let's hope it's not like the Bayern game 3 years ago. But they were just waiting 3 days, because this was like the Bayern game 3 years ago, that goal. Okay. Oh my God.
Okay, Alasdair, but I agree. I mean, the referee cannot be the reason why Lazio lost the game, but he can point the game in the right direction. And again, Fabiani was a red card. Second yellow, that's a red card. I mean, let Bologna play the second half and the last 5 minutes of the first half down one man. It's a completely different game. So, a red card, especially at the beginning of the game, I'm not saying that, a red card in the last 5 minutes, it's useless. But red card in the first half, changed completely the game. So, if Lazio played the second half with one man more than Bologna, I mean, that has a huge impact. It's true. People could write us, well, Lazio started playing with 10 men because Luis Alberto didn't show up again. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But if Bologna would play 10 men down, then, it's a completely different game. Said this, the first goal of Bologna, I was there at the stadium and I say, this cannot be possible. This must be a joke. No. I mean, there's something, and honestly, from my side, I couldn't see why it was offside, the goal. So I was there. This is not going to stand. But the mentality of this team, the mentality, first 35 minutes, great. Second half, where was the rest of the team? I mean, you cannot disappear. And we have to be honest, Bologna didn't create nothing except the goal. But I don't remember a chance from Lazio in the second half. Yeah, Castellano had 2 chances, but he doesn't score even if the goalkeeper dies. So, it's incredible. I was thinking last night, we spent 80 million euros for a striker who doesn't score even with the hands. I mean, this could be the worst signing of Lazio ever.
Oh, come on. We've had a lot of bad signings, a lot of signings worse than Tatti. I think the problem is at the moment that you're seeing that he's the only option really, or at least the one that's being looked at to provide, the extra spark, the extra oomph at the end of a match to finish off the job. And because finishing off things generally is not what his strength seems to be, that's a bit of a problem as a strategy. On the flip side, I thought Ciro again looked good. I do wonder if there was a bit of fatigue that has set in that second half. It was a weirdly big drop-off from first to second. It was such a different performance. And part of that will be physical, I'm sure, because it was a very similar 11 against Bologna that played Bayern. But part of that surely is mental as well, because it's almost like the same thing, I guess, we've discussed about for years, which is this kind of complacency that can come in where they know they've got this great home records, only lost a couple of games all season against Inter and against Genoa, like right at the start of the season. So they know they're good at home. They've just beaten one of the biggest teams in Europe at home. So probably going 1-0 up against Bologna at home, they will think, yeah, we can cruise now a little bit. And they can't. And that's, for me, where that crazy goal comes from. That is complacency. That is taking your eye off the ball. And it is just the most catastrophically stupid goal to concede. But I think we could see this coming, can we, a bit? I mean, we were saying this a little bit in our last podcast. Like, this is such a dangerous match because these lunch matches often can just be like such sleepy affairs where it feels like quite hard to get that momentum, to get that real feel of ultra competitiveness. I don't know. There's something about these matches. And then obviously the same old thing of after a European game, after a big win, how does the team continue that? So sadly, I don't think it's a huge surprise, really. It's just the big surprise for me is that huge difference between first and second half.
Yeah, talking about Tatti Castellano, the oomph effect is the one the Curva Nord does every time he tries to score. I mean, again, he's terrible. I'm really concerned about that. Talking about the confidence, yeah, I mean, mentally, the Lazio switched off. And the biggest complaint I have is, the biggest regret, and is that we created so many chances in the first half and we didn't score. And at the end of the first half, I was talking with a friend and I said, after this goal, I wouldn't be surprised if Lazio collapsed in the second half. And that's what happened. Again, let's be honest, Bologna didn't create nothing, but they are very good defending. They are a very good defensive team. And my God, Casale, what the hell was he doing? You are in the middle of the penalty box and you don't think to look where your man is. I mean, Dirce was 3 meters away from Casale, and he's not even trying to watch what he's doing. That's a goal that not even in third division a central defender would concede. And this is terrible, Alasdair. But as you were mentioning, this was a very dangerous game. And we have to point out that Lazio didn't have that many options because we had that bench that was like third division bench. We had Isai, Pellegrini, Kamada, Casale, Castellanos, and Pedro. That was the only players from the first team available. Castellanos and Pedro are playing so bad that, I would have kept Chiro with one leg on the pitch and Felipe Anderson, even if he was sleeping, rather than change them. And again, yeah, go on. Then I'm going to talk about Kamada.
Yeah, sorry, I was just going to say on that listing those players, I think that there are a few names that are constantly coming up that people are complaining about, and some of those are the ones you've talked about. Tatti, definitely. Maricic, definitely. Alberto, definitely. Probably also, Casale has had a poor season. Pedro's form has dipped. But these guys, I think that for me, the frustrating thing with this is that it's not a case of these guys being terrible players, because I think we know for a fact with many of them that they're not terrible players. They're actually pretty good players. And with some of them, we know they can do better. So the frustration is more that we've got quite a big handful of members of this squad who are underperforming. And we can say they're underperforming because we know. And that's the thing that's frustrating about it, because you can maybe carry a player or two who's out of form in a bigger squad. And we know this squad's got more depth now than it did last season. But the problem of that better depth is it's not enough to carry 5 or 6 players who are really not pulling their weight. So that's the issue. It's just there's too many guys who've dropped a level all at the same time.
Even 2 levels. And it was funny because everybody was asking, well, why Casale is not playing? Well, we saw yesterday why he's not playing, right? He's been terrible. So, and we've been complaining about Luis Alberto for I don't know how long. And Kamada comes in and he's pretty much invisible. And this is not the first time, even against Bayern, which was a big game. And I was expecting Kamada to come in and do something. He knows Bayern very well. They were one man down, etc. He didn't do pretty much nothing. Yes, it's true he comes in the late of the second half, but if you think about Vecino, when he comes in the pitch, you can see he brings energy. He tries to score. He tries to do something. Kamada came in like, well, I have to play because they asked me to, but I really don't want to, and puts himself far away from the ball, and don't pass me the ball. I'm here just because I have to. Yes, Luis Alberto is playing poorly, and he needs to get off. But if the alternative is Kamada, then probably I don't know. I would pick a Primavera guy instead of both of them.
There's always at least, I'd say, 2 or 3 points of every season where you're saying we should be playing the Primavera guys.
which, by the way, it's terrible because I don't see any Primavera guy ready for the Serie A.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I think it's come at a bad time. These dips of form of these players. Obviously, look, we're not going to be so reactive that we're completely forgetting what happened on Wednesday. That was an incredible win, and I think it was only inevitable that it took a lot out of that squad, out of those players. But even kind of zooming out of that a bit and looking more generally at the last month and a half or so, I mean, we came into this year, despite having a very inconsistent season, still with a really good chance of being in the top 4 somehow. And now 3 matches, Napoli, Atalanta, Bologna, against your direct rivals, and we've had 1 point from those 3. And we're talking about Atalanta, Bologna, and Napoli as well, and Mazzari's Napoli. We're not talking about playing Inter, Juve, and Milan at the same time. So that's really disappointing that all these head-to-head opportunities to seize control of this race, and we've just seen them beat Bayern Munich. We know they can perform in big games, and 1 point out of a possible 9. I mean, it's almost out of sight now. There's an 8-point gap. There's 4 positions to make up. It's
yeah. But to see the positive side of this, except Atalanta, we deserve much better against. We played better than Napoli. We played better than Bologna. I mean,
I don't think we deserve much more against Napoli. I disagree with that. I don't think we deserve to lose, but definitely didn't do enough in that game to say we deserve to win it. I mean,
we didn't create chances, or we didn't finish chances against Napoli, but against Bologna, I think it's incredible to believe we lost that game. For how many? I mean, Bologna had 2 shots on targets, and there was the 2 goals, and one of those 2 shots of target, Provedel gets the assist. So that's a lot. So
in an attempt to be positive and optimistic here for a second, I think that is a reason why we can be, because the second goal was a bit of a freak, and the second half drop off must have been down in part to the efforts from Wednesday night. But the actual general performance was, much
decent,
better than so much of what we've seen, even against teams. And I think sometimes you need to look in the wider context of a performance rather than the results or the individual moments. And I think in that respect, there was plenty to actually be positive in this game. Isaksen finally scoring is definitely one. Ciro playing well again, but also just the number of opportunities.
Can I ask you something? Lazio didn't talk because they were upset with the referee. Now, for me, this is a huge mistake, because if you have something to say about the referee, you should have gone there after the game and say, hey, Maresca has been terrible. It's not the first time. We feel badly penalized by this referee. This is not the first time this season that Lazio get penalized by referee, blah, 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 etc., etc. I think not talking is the worst possible thing to do. They didn't want to talk because they felt that they could be punished by the Lega, disqualified, etc. I thought this was another huge mistake. Lazio communication is awful, but this is really a disgrace. You don't want to get disqualified? Okay, Sarri and the players don't talk. You send Lotito or the sport director to talk and complain about the referee. Exactly how everybody else handled this situation, except for Lazio.
What do you want them to say, though?
I want to say, I go there because what happened, I don't know if you know this, a journalist yesterday, after Lazio didn't talk, tweeted the picture of the first goal of Bologna and said, this is the reason why Lazio don't talk, because they felt that this was the wrong decision. He's an idiot, because we all know why Lazio protested. Because Fabian should have been sent off, not because of the Bologna's goal. And the fact that no one talked, the other guys, nobody knew why Lazio was protesting. Fabiani, Lotito should have gone there and said, hey, DAZN, show me this situation and tell me this is not a yellow card. He was already on a yellow card. This is a red card. Then go on the second half. Check what Ferguson does on Cataldi. Tell me this is not a foul and a yellow card. And tell me why Maresca doesn't give a yellow card. Then go on all the other situation. This is how you should do it. Silence mean. Rocky yesterday said Maresca was good against in Lazio Bologna. No, he was awful. He was really, really, really bad. Again, Lazio should have found a way to win anyway, but you cannot say that the referee didn't help Bologna in so many ways.
This is more like it, Vittorio. This is what I was expecting.
And this was what Lotito and Fabiani should have done yesterday. Silence is not the solution. It's not the answer.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of undecided on that, because I do also feel that there's nobody has ever got anything out of complaining about refs.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
I don't like the kind of, the victimhood of it, and feel, I understand that there were problems with the refereeing, and I'm not disputing that it wasn't a good refereeing performance. But what I mean is that I think the healthier thing for the team to do is be able to grow a thicker skin and deal with it and not have to be dwelling on it, and even during matches constantly getting so wound up about it and so frustrated about it, because I think the more that happens, the more frustrated the players become, the worse they play, and I just feel like it happens time and again.
I remember Inter protesting and not having a referee for more than 1 year. I remember Juventus protesting, and for 1 year, newspaper was saying yes, but Juventus has been had a new penalization from the referee, and even Rocky, the boss of the referee, saying yes, Juve has been penalized. If you don't say nothing, Rocky will keep going and say Maresca has been great against Lazio. We'll send Maresca to every single game against Lazio. So this is the problem. You have to complain. You have to start. In Italy, it's like this, unfortunately, because and the truth is, till Lotito keep fighting Gravina, Lazio will be heavily penalized. We've been with the Curva Nord shut down for Lazio Napoli for nothing. We've been with the referee making mistakes and keep coming back to Lazio. We've been penalizing so many different effects this season that it's clear that Gravina is against Lotito, because Lotito, let's not forget, when the betting scandal came out, Lotito said, hey, we have to fire Gravina, and he promised to Lotito that he will punish him. And who's get penalized? Lazio, of course. And this is how it's happening.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think we maybe have slightly different perspectives on that. I think, yeah, there's just general, it's a very Italian football thing. You know, there's always grievances with all this stuff, and it dominates the news cycle so much. And it's part of this culture of having the moviola of every single game and analyzing every single decision and all this. And yeah, maybe you're right that there are certain interjections you can make, certain ways you can push your power around to make influence and get things in a better position for yourself. But at the same time, I just always feel like the attention and the energy is better spent somewhere else than on referees. And yeah, look, I mean, again, bringing it back to the game, I think that generally speaking, there's no need to get kind of so wound up about this game, because there were reasons to be positive about it. And I don't think it's going to be helpful going forward to bring a feeling of victimhood into the next few games. Because look, we've got Torino, Fiorentina, Milan, and Bayern are our next 4 games. That is a really, really difficult run. And if it goes wrong, the whole season's kind of up in flames. If it goes well, then the whole season is looking very good. So, yeah, I just think they need to press the mental reset button on this one and just move on, I think.
Yeah, do you expect a huge turnover on Thursday against Torino? Very difficult game, away game. We always struggle against Torino recently, and we have so many injured players. I'm really concerned about Thursday, because I don't know, if we don't win Thursday, it's over, the Champions League, right? It's pretty much over.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the problem then is like losing to Torino. It becomes kind of almost suddenly like you're battling to finish in the top half of the table at a certain point, and that's really not what we want. I think, top 4 is getting harder and harder with every week, because the number of opportunities we've got to sort this out is clearly diminishing week on week. If you want to look at it another way, this run of games is an opportunity to gain ground over teams within that kind of part of the table. I think there are still question marks about whether Bologna can sustain this or not. We'll see. I mean, there's no reason to doubt them particularly, but they've never been here before. So we'll have to see how they deal with that. And there's a lot of unknowns around the European competitions as well still, because we don't know who's going to be progressing and who isn't, and what kind of impact that's going to have on teams too. So there's still a load to play for here. I wouldn't say it's gone yet, because there's been times at the season already where we thought it's gone and we've somehow clawed our way back into it. So you never know.
Atalanta is flying, to be honest. I don't
Yeah,
see.
they're looking good.
They're looking great, to be honest with you, and they're fourth. So it's not that we have to watch Bologna that much. We have to try and get back points from Atalanta, which is.
But fifth might be enough this season. That's the thing.
Yeah, not sure about that, but can happen. But Atalanta is on a 5 games winning streak, and we won, I think, 2 out of 5 last games in Serie A. So not great, not looking great, to be honest. And yeah, I think we had been unlucky, all the injury coming at the worst time this period. We need Zaccagni desperately back, and he's not going to be able to play on Thursday.
Yeah, that said, I think Isaksen is really starting to show his colours nicely. The last couple of performances have been really good. The one thing we said after the Bayern match was like, how good is this guy going to be if he starts finishing his chances? And then 3 days later, he scores a brilliant goal. Very, very nearly gets a second one. I mean, that was an incredible save from Skorupski for the second Isaksen effort. The stuff we were talking about again on whatever day it was that we were talking after Bayern about the kind of change of style to try and accommodate Ciro and more of those balls in behind that you were talking about. We saw that again, I think, on Ciro getting into some good opportunities there. Alberto slipping him in for that goal that was just offside. There was another one where he kind of took it on his chest, getting in behind. I think he's finding more space. He seems to be finding more of these positions and runs that he used to get as well. So I think they're working quite nicely in tandem. I agree that it'd be nice to have Zaccagni back, but I mean, that would probably mean dropping Isaksen. And I'm not sure we want to do that right now.
Well, but in the second half, both Felipe and Isaksen pretty much disappeared. So, it looks to me that they need some time to recover. And with Pedro only option available, it's not enough, right?
Yeah, I think some rotation options would certainly be welcome at this stage. There's so many games. It's crazy. It's never-ending football.
But our owner said that the roster is good enough. So, we didn't need any other players this winter transfer market. So we'll have to make it like that. Hey, we had Andre Anderson on the bench yesterday.
I saw that. And I have to admit, shame on me, I'd forgotten he was still a Lazio player.
I think a lot of fans forgot it.
I thought he left, but it was on loan, wasn't it?
To San Paolo, and it didn't work out, and he was cut like 6 months earlier than the end of the contract, and he was in Rome pretty much 1 year. Even without training with the club, so I don't know what happened. But we are so short-handed that we said, "Hey, Andre, come on the bench on Sunday because we need a player."
Yeah, exactly. And it is funny to end up in this situation, having spoken so much about the fact that the squad depth has got a lot better and all of that. And it just goes to show, I honestly just think it goes to show there's just too much football. Yeah. And it's not good. But
we have to say that Thursday, Romagnoli and hopefully Vecino, even if Vecino is injured, should be back for Torino. So that's very important. It's a final, a sort of final for us.
Patrick, did we find out
how
he's doing?
He's having exams, but it doesn't look like he will be available.
That was a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's happened there, why he was playing, if he was still at risk or if it was just a freak thing that was another separate injury. I'm not really sure. I've not read much about that, but...
Well, the reason why he was playing is you saw Casale yesterday, so you understand, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's better Patrick with one leg than Casale now. So,
guy probably just needs some confidence.
Yeah,
but again, time, bit of confidence. Yeah, get back into it. But
yeah,
Yep.
Well, Alasdair, I think we can wrap it up here. It was a very disappointing podcast, but let's hope that we are in a different mood on after Torino Lazio. That's another very important game. And thanks for everybody. Thanks for our Patreon. Remember, you can support us at patreon.com/Lazio Lounge, and rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to the podcast. And we'll be back as soon as possible. Take care, guys.
Cheers.